Hello, welcome back everybody. And today what we're going to be talking about is building an emergency fund. Okay, so we all know what an emergency fund is. It's exactly how it sounds. If you are in a position where something happens beyond your control, like your car breaks down, or there's something in the house that breaks down, you need a new appliance, or perhaps maybe you're out of work for about 6 to 8 months or longer. Now you're working with or you're living on just a portion of your salary. An emergency fund is a necessity, especially in today's society, right? Everything is so darn expensive. And the last thing you want is to be caught without an emergency fund and something happens and you don't have the money. So, how would I recommend that you save for an emergency fund? Is number one, let's do our checks and balances here. So, how much money is coming in? Calculate how much money is going out. And what you have to do is figure out between what's coming in, what's going out, how much of that residual income are you willing to set aside to save for a rainy day, which is your emergency fund. It may only be a couple of $100s to begin with. Maybe it's $500. Whatever it is that you can spare, you'll want to do that as often as possible and have an automatic savings plan. That's what I recommend. So every time you get paid, there should be a designated amount of money that goes to what I would say a savings account for your emergency fund. Now, what I also recommend is because banks aren't really paying a whole lot of money in interest, you're only going to earn maybe a few cents each month, even if you have $10,000 in the bank. So, what I recommend is once you have an emergency fund that's minimally $5,000, you should then put that emergency fund into a CD, which is a certificate of deposit. Now, you're only going to earn anywhere between 3 to 4% is what the going rates are right now, but that emergency fund can still be earning interest rather than earning a few cents a month and earning that interest until you need it. Now, the thing about a certificate of deposit is there are time frames. Usually they're like 6 months or 8 months or 12 months. Depending on which certificate time frame you choose, you can actually dip into those funds early if you need them. So, in other words, if you don't need the money for 6 months to a year, then you're just going to accumulate interest. However, if by any chance you put your money in the CD and say, for instance, 3 months after you put the money in the CD, you need to tap into that emergency fund. Unfortunately, you won't get the interest, the 3 or 4% that the bank offered you, but you won't lose your money and it's still there available to you when you need it. So really make sure that your bank have no penalties other than just not giving you the interest that you would have earned. Say I put $60,000 in a CD, which I did. Okay, so that CD is going to earn 4% over the course of the next 8 months. Now, say for instance, something catastrophic happens and I need to pull $20,000 out. Well, I'm going to go to my bank and I'm going to say, hey, I know I gave you this money and I promised that you're going to have it for 8 months and you in return were going to give me 4%. I need that money, or at least I need a portion of that money. So now what the bank's going to do is I can take out the portion of the money that I need. My penalty is I just won't get the 4% interest. But it's a win-win situation because if I don't need the money, I get my 4% interest. If I do need the money, it's not like it's locked up in an investment where I can't gain access to it immediately. Now, every bank works differently. I personally have my money in a credit union, Dearborn Federal Credit Union here in Michigan. So make sure before you get into the certificate of deposit contract that you can actually withdraw the funds, which are your emergency fund, in the event of an emergency without penalties other than not receiving the interest. Okay? So I hope that this was a useful and helpful tip for you. So continue to watch me on Financial Fix with Charnella. If you like my content, please like and subscribe.